Can I get a quick mic check? Can y'all hear me okay back there? Good? All right, thank you. All right, thank you guys. So first things first, we're going to kick off March 2016's Demo Day. First things first, can I get everybody to grab their cell phones and go ahead and put them on silent or mute, please? We have some awesome presenters and awesome mentors tonight, so just want to make sure we're not disturbing them. Just some quick housekeeping stuff. If you guys do get really excited about the pitch and can't wait to talk about it, feel free to hop in this room, or there's a room back there to have some conversations, because we have presentations and feedback happening kind of throughout the rest for the next hour. So thank you guys for coming out to Houston Startup Demo Day. Quick show of hands, how many of you guys have been here before? And how many first timers? Oh, wow, awesome. So majority first timers. So thank you guys for coming out. So I'm going to do my little shameless plug about who we are real quick. So Start Houston, as you see it, and during the day is actually a technology co-working space. What that means is we rent out desks at super cheap prices for people to work out of our space. We've got about 30 to 40 members that work in and out of here on a regular basis. They use it as their office. Sometimes they use it as their home. But anything you see is pretty much included: coffee, Wi-Fi, the whole nine. We work with early stage companies that want to grow and typically grow out of our space. So that's kind of our goal, is they outgrow us and move on to other things. We've had really exciting companies all the way from Lyft to Favor that have officed out of our space in the past. And so that's kind of what we do. And regularly we have this event and a lot of other meetups included all across the spectrum of typically technology and also entrepreneurial. So that's who we are. So real quick, I'm going to have my friend Josephine from Houston Technology Center talk about Houston Startup Week.
Hi everyone, Houston Startup Week. Who has heard of Houston Startup Week? All right, anybody have been to a Startup Week in other cities before? Anyone? No, okay, so Startup Week is 5 days of programming, morning to evening, with everything around startups. So informational sessions, open houses, mentor meetings, etc. I'm here for an ask. I have an ask. We're looking for volunteers, or potential organizers, sponsorship lead, marketing lead, etc. So like us on Facebook. It's easy. Just look up Houston Startup Week. We're looking at fall of this year. We don't have a date set yet, but if you're on the organizing team, you can have a say, and you should have it. And yeah, like us on Facebook.
So let me just walk you through the details of this evening, since there's so many first-timers. For those of you guys that are following on social media, the official hashtag is HOU Demo Day. So feel free to tweet away and whatnot. All the startups have already had their their URLs tweeted, so feel free to follow along or get to know them. So the way it works is it's 3 minutes of pitch. And then we have some amazing mentors, which I'll introduce in a second. They'll give them the feedback. We try and wait for audience questions till the end and then open networking, just because otherwise the night just drags on. So respect that. And then if everybody could just kind of put their trash in trash cans, that'd be awesome. So that's kind of what we do. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the mentors. However, we have a special mentor here today, and I'm going to not steal your thunder. But the reason why this mentor is here today, and I stole your picture from LinkedIn, I apologize. So there are, how many of you guys have heard of Plated or Blue Apron or some of these kind of on-demand? So Blue Apron is being represented tonight from New York City, and they are here debating whether they want to move to Houston or to Dallas. And so, Austin doesn't have a room. So we wanted to represent and show their team. There's a couple of members of the team. So as to why Houston is the right fit for them to grow their company and join all of our amazing startups and entrepreneurs. Because it's not Dallas. I was trying not to take it down that path, but that being said, so I'm super excited for them to be here today to see what our scene looks like. We know we're young, we know we're budding, we still got a long way to go, but what better place and what better time for Houston as we kind of morph ourselves from an energy city into a technology and bio and startup city, which is why all you guys are here, for them to be here tonight. So please make us look great. Make us look like rock stars. A little bit about Blue Apron, and again, I'll let you give the, I don't want to butcher your introduction, but VC backed, really rapid growth, doing really amazing things really fast, and that's why we felt it was valuable to get their perspective for all those of you guys that eventually wanted this part of your company's trajectory is raising capital and being a rapid growth startup. We knew that Michelle's perspective would be great. So I'm going to let all of you guys introduce yourselves. I'll start this way.
I'm Chris Church, founder and currently CEO of Macrofab Incorporated. We help hardware startups and small businesses bring their products to market easier, faster, and with much less risk. Previously, I started a robotics company for filmmakers called Dynamic Perception, and before that, I was a co-founder of AlertLogic. I think they're now the largest cloud security company in the world. So.
I'm Neil Murthy. I guess I'm in strategy management consulting.
That's your title.
Is it really?
I just copy pasted.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'm in strategy management consulting. I guess it's fairly accurate. I've been doing that kind of work for about 20 years, but about 8 or so of that has been working specifically with startups. So I'm happy to say that through our firm Indala Solutions, we worked with about 450 startups worldwide, providing sort of advisory and strategy. And then I left that firm about 2 years ago, and then kind of been just putzing around more or less since then. So, strategy management consulting. Oh yeah. I also teach. Well, I'm not doing that right now because I just finished 2 weeks ago. So I also teach entrepreneurship, and I've also taught in finance and management and business economics and blah 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 at the Bauer College at the University of Houston. So, go Cougs.
Hi, I'm Keith Kruer. I'm an angel investor with Red House Associates. Ex-tech guy, started off years ago as a programmer. We had consulting companies we wrote software for, turned those into software companies, sold those, and now I just invest in. We are in about 30 different deals currently. We've had about, I think, 10 exits is the number right now. So we've been able to return about $1.25 billion to our investors, so we've been very happy with that. But I'm happy to be here. Done it a few times now, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hello everyone, Michelle Chu from New York, Blue Apron. Thank you so much for having us. I'm really excited to be here. My background, I like to call organically grown at Accenture, and I was doing marketing strategy, multi-channel strategy for about 11 years, and then decided to follow something that I'm very passionate about, which is food, and decided to join Blue Apron and went in to really focus on developing our customer strategies. So, as I guess part of my introduction was, we are looking to build out a satellite office, and Texas actually bubbled up to the top of our analysis. And so we're really excited to see what Texas has to offer and whether we think that it's a good cultural fit for us in whichever city we end up in. But to tell you a little bit about Blue Apron, we are backed up by a lot of investors, 2 of them being first round, Bessemer, and Fidelity, which are our biggest. And we have actually last year were valuated at $2 billion, and we are now sending about more than 5 million meals nationwide on a monthly basis. And we are now actually also, we have 3 fulfillment centers coast to coast and also in Dallas, Texas. I'm sorry. And that's now enabled us to be able to reach 99.9% of the continental United States. So much that's happening on the Blue Apron side, and really excited here to see what else we're going to be hearing on these pitches.
All right, so amazing startups, they're obviously going to present themselves and talk about them. So without further ado, we're going to get this thing started. First up is Bobby.
How's everybody doing? Doing good. This is so unfair. I'm the cutest guy that had the opportunity to go first. So thank you so much for allowing the cutest picture to go first. Y'all supposed to laugh. That was funny a little bit. Okay. Anyway, my name is Bobby Bryant. I'm actually with AXDOS. I will say it's pretty interesting how this opportunity came about. I'm actually a Texas real estate broker. Pivoting into the application world, we were fortunate enough to score a commercial partnership agreement with IBM Watson. What we envisioned, or let me ask a question. In this room, how many people ever bought a house, sold a house, thought about buying a house? Right? A lot of people in here, right? Imagine being able to pull out your cell phone and like a Siri or an Amazon Echo that they call Alexa and ask your cell phone any question about any property in the United States, MLS listed or not. The price, the square footage, has there been any permits pulled? Can you tell me about the neighborhood? I'm standing in front of this house. What school is it zoned to? Or even better, Because again, I'm a real estate broker and I deal with a lot of different cultures. And for a lot of you who don't know, Houston actually is one of the most diverse cities in the country. What if I need to see, because culturally, I want you to show me, Doss, every house that has a door that faces east, that's for sale. Certain cultures want that. It could be the perfect house, but if the door doesn't face the right way, they're not buying it. So imagine having a tool that will actually geocode you. You're in front of a property. It's almost like Uber for real estate. And you say, I want to see this house right now. And you tell Doss, and Doss actually pings and finds the closest subscriber to you to give you on-demand access to that property. One of our subscribers. How many people think that's a great idea? To be able to have accurate information when you want it, how you want it, without having to wait for a realtor to get off work, to stop working with another client. Statistically, most buyers are up at about 11 o'clock to 2 a.m. wanting to see or get information about a property. Well, guess what? As your broker, I'm asleep. Don't call me at 11 o'clock, right? And so that's what Ask Doss is, an artificial intelligence that's actually backed by IBM Watson's artificial intelligence. When we start talking about myself here, I have 20 years in real estate. My CTO is Glenn Gutierrez. He couldn't be here tonight. We've already talked to Houston Association of Realtors, which actually is the largest in literally the holy grail of all associations in the country. And we sat and talked with them. We have 32,000 realtors in Houston. They've already agreed to become our beta sample. We are rolling out, by the way, our beta in May. We're at that phase. The secret sauce, guys, is not catch up, okay? So becoming an IBM Watson ecosystem partner actually is our immutable asset. There is nothing like what we are rolling out right now. We'll be the very first real estate assistant in the world, okay? And then when we start talking about being a for realtor, by realtor product or technology, guys, don't know about you, if you ever try to use Zillow, a lot of times information is not accurate. You ask for a value, it's not going to be accurate. But you know what? Ask Doss will be a broker. So imagine having access and you want to sell your house. Doss, how much is my house worth? The algorithms will actually look at sold data and give you that information. If you want to ask, can you show me all the houses that have sold in this neighborhood in the last 3 months? It will give you that information. Why? Because Ask Doss is also a brokerage. This is actually our minimal viable product that we had at this point when we showed it to and won the relationship with IBM. So literally you can get on your desktop or again use your mobile application and use your natural language to ask any question. That natural language also is beyond English. The market size, 1.171 million realtors in the United States. There are 86,004 brokers in the country. There are also 1,341 associations. Okay? Last year, there were 5 million houses that sold in the United States. 70% of all realtors right now spend already $250. Guys, there's not a product out there that's more superior than what we're about to roll out. 1/3 of those realtors spend $500 or more. The average realtor with Zillow right now spends between $4,500 and $25,000 a month. All right, Ask Doss, IBM Watson, we want to become the market leader. We will become the market leader. Again, our objective is to hit these percentages in terms of market share. When we start talking about the product mix, associations, brokerages, and also consumers will be will be our target mix. What do brokers need? Their agents want to expand more technology. They want more technology. 45% stated that via not our survey, but the technology survey done at the national level. When we start talking about problems and solutions, the problem is realtors love selling, but they're bogged down with research. Okay, and they need multiple sites to get that information to their clients. Well, the solution is Doss becomes the only app that you actually need. So there's no need to go out there and actually pay for or have access to several different sites. Always prepared. Guys, these days, to be honest with you, I've been a broker for several years. The consumer knows more than I know before I know it. They come to me now already prepared. Bobby, I want to see these 5 houses. Guess what I have to do now? I have to go find and figure out about that property. They already know. But guess what our technology does? It puts that information back in front of us. It allows the realtor to look more like the expert. Increase revenue. It's nothing better than to turn around and leverage myself with this technology. To be able to save time, to be able to work with more consumers. Why? Because I don't have to always be available. Because the consumer will have direct access and be able to inquire themselves. Associations, we partner with them as well. I'm going to tell you, if you guys didn't know, realtor associations throughout the country are struggling. They're struggling with relevancy, and they're struggling with value in the front of their realtor paying members. Why? Because of Zillow. With our company, and what we're doing is we are actually partner with associations, okay? And we'll actually give them a portion of the revenue share that we make. We'll offer this information to their realtors. See, for Houston, like being from New York, correct? Houston is an anomaly. Guys, we have the best website in the country as a realtor association. No other city in the United States has an HAR, if you didn't know that. For those who are from other cities who come here and see HAR, you know the difference. In most cities throughout the country, all they know is Zillow. Well, moving forward, we're going to have AXDOS. Okay? And so that's what I present. So AXDOS has several different ways where we generate revenue. And number one is through subscription. This will be where realtors will pay to subscribe to our technology through IBM, and which is what they love. And then the second way will be through commissions. We'll also, as we give leads to realtors, as consumers are out using our product, they will, those leads will go to the actual realtors that subscribe to our product. Okay, and then lastly, you have to get in front of advertisers as well. Majority of Zillow's money that's made is in front of advertisers, and ours will be the same way, in front of our realtor users as well as the consumer. Guys, I want to thank you very much. My name is Bobby Bryant. And by the way, if I hadn't said it, which is the most important part, I need money. And for everybody, if you want to get a handout, I did bring this presentation as a tangible if you guys want it. And for those who are interested, I have our executive summary. And actually for the judges, as I attempt to butter up to them, I gave them a book that I wrote about real estate. So here you guys go. Yes, yes.
Just
yes.
what I wanted.
All right. Yes.
So good presentation. So quick question.
Yes.
It appears that your customer is both the consumer as well as brokers and businesses. So that's typically a very big challenge. So what do you plan to do to, accomplish both?
And you know what? Great question. I do understand the two-headed monster rule when you start talking about having two sides to that. The beauty in it is what we are doing is we're going to take an inside-out approach, meaning that we are going into associations to provide a tool that actually gives realtors an easier way to access data when we're in the field. And so in that phase of that, the objective is to attack the industry first to be able to help the professional. Then you go to the consumer. The consumer is going to eat this up. To not have to be codependent on an agent, to have to wait, to be able to get accurate on-demand information that's unbiased. The consumer is going to eat this up. When you look at consumer habits, wants, and needs, this is hands down. But what we have to have in place is the professional or professionals. Because if anything, we're expecting the whirlwind on this side. But we have to have the professional in place in order to, so when the consumers come, they can be serviced.
So is the consumer version a free version?
It is, yes, sir.
What information would you reveal to consumers versus the brokers who are paying a premium for that?
What will we reveal? What information will we give to the consumer? The consumer will have, it actually, good question. That's we have to follow the rules of associations correctly. And so if I were to say Mobile, Alabama, which is where I'm from, versus Houston, Texas, versus every MLS throughout the country, they actually have different rules. on what you could tell the consumer. We have to follow those guidelines. The thing is that there's so much information beyond that. Can you tell me about the neighborhood? What's the demographics? You know what? I have 4 daughters. Is there a sex offender in the neighborhood? You know, we could give it can give that information. CoreLogic being our #1 source. You know, permits being pulled. You know, I'm walking into a house and that toilet just doesn't look right sitting there. Has there been any permits pulled on this property? And it will tell me. In other words, I can almost get like a house fax, kind of similar to a Carfax, with this data, and that's the beauty in it.
But depending on whether you are logged in as a consumer, an end-using consumer versus a broker or realtor, your
Yes.
restrictions would differ?
Yes, because the thing
And
is,
it'd be geographically updating, I suppose, based on these restrictions by state.
yes, by association. Case in point, in Texas, we have 82 different associations. So what they allow us to give and do in Houston may be different for the other 81. Now, let me go back to what she said, because she brought up an interesting point, and I want you guys to hear this, is that the consumer will have access to certain information. There are 13 states in the United States that actually are non-disclosure states. What does that mean? They can't give sold information unless you engage a realtor. So in those 13 states, it will give the consumer basic information. In order for you to get the sold data, then you would have to turn around and engage one of our subscribers. Once you engage one of the subscribers that are paying for AXDOS, then you become their personal client. Then you could ask, once that realtor uploads you on their admin side, then you can ask and get sold information. Only in 13 states. So again, we have to follow laws, and we're bound by that, if that makes sense. So, but that's a great question.
I think you just hit on a key point that keeps coming up in my mind here. The real value for the consumer happens when there are enough brokers, realtors on there to handle their requests and handle their information. This sounds almost like a network effect problem, right? Like your first consumers may not have the experience you're looking for until you get enough realtors on it. But you don't get enough realtors on there, the consumers are going to talk to realtors. How are you addressing that issue?
Actually, and respectfully, I see it being the other way around. I'm actually believing that the consumer side is going to spread like wildfire. Based on our research, based on our data, the beauty of our approach, kind of different from our predecessors, and I have to keep going back to the elephant in the room being Zillow, okay, is they came out the gate saying, forget realtors, we're going to turn around and go straight to the consumer. The same founder of Zillow is the same founder of Expedia. He felt like he could have the same effect in our industry. It's just, our industry is too dynamic, has too many moving pieces. And we've seen other attempts. So what the objective has to be is that you've got to get that buy-in, which is the reason why we are partnering with associations at no cost to push down to their realtor members. And actually, we already pre-negotiated with IBM. This was a pretty interesting part here that's probably being left out. We got the approval, but we pumped the brakes and we went back and we said, hey, we need to be able to, this is so unique and realtors are so skeptical, we need to be able to allow realtors to experience this and brokers to experience and field and engage this technology. It took us 3 additional weeks to get our approval before we got the final commercial partnership. Because what we wanted to do was be able to allow this 1.1 million segment of agents to experience this technology. Our first phase is going to the professional, and then we were releasing to the general public. And so I don't know if that answered your question, but I wanted to kind of give you, we want to make sure we have enough professionals. The worst thing we can ever do is roll out and have wildfire and not have enough professionals to service the consumer.
I'm not sure again, I can addressing it, but I think you finally touched on it. Yeah.
Okay.
Do I interpret that as saying you're not going to go to the consumers until you have enough realtors to bring that value to the consumer?
Yes. I'm sorry. Great question. Great clarification.
So
So these folks have asked you some really good questions. I'll try to go first.
Man,
this
they
time.
beat me up. Don't you see these bruises, man? I tell you.
I've
I'm
got
just
like
kidding.
11 questions on this piece.
Dog it.
But I'll only ask one, and then I'll give you like a little single point of advice. I want to understand how you perceive not existing competition, but future competition. What is it that makes this product so uniquely special, and your team so uniquely special, and your approach so uniquely special, and possibly some intellectual property and something else? Whatever, you can answer this anyway. You can just offer some suggestions. That will make this a unique, distinctive product for some years to come. So
Wow.
gain that traction.
Good question. You know, I talk to a lot of clients, and I'm a geek for this stuff. This is, I sleep, eat, and breathe this with every fiber of my body. And you know what's interesting to me is when you have that first-time home buyer, or the person, because the data says that the average person buys and sells a house every 8 to 12 years. Do you know how much technology changes every 8 to 12 years? It changes a lot. Even when we think about some of the technologies we've become comfortable with, that's only been around for a decade, but it seems like it's been forever. What our technology does is it kills, it murders queries. I want to find a house. I don't want to have to learn your site. I don't want to have to figure out how to search for this, that, or the other. I don't want to have to, where do I put 2 bedrooms? I want to grant it. I need a nursery. I need. I want to live close by my job, my husband, my wife, my kids. People want to search in natural ways, not queries. You can't put me in a query. The beauty in the partnership with IBM is that now we have a cognitive search engine that allows you with any language to be able to simply ask your question.
Let me touch upon that, if that's okay.
Okay,
But
please.
do you have the good things?
I do.
Go back to your MVP for a second.
Okay, right there.
There. Okay. So that looks like a decent interface to me.
Okay.
But let me say this, and what I love about it most, and what I would like to see this product is really as you described it, is that blue box at the top is everything. It's everything. That's exactly how the Google search engine became
Exactly.
what it is.
Exactly.
Right? That basically, if this really is a Siri for,
Yeah.
or a Google for whatever, or
Yeah.
for real estate, then I should be able to have that blue box in it, and I don't need anything.
And that's exactly
Maybe I
what
have
it is.
some other interface or something as the back end, but I don't need anything else.
Exactly. And you know
Is that how
what?
it was built?
It is how it's built. Yes, great question. But also, the cool thing is for the people who still want to use rotary phones, it still says queries.
What's wrong with us?
I know, right? It's like Simon Sinek says, for those people who want to use some, rotary phones. But so it still allows them to have the search query boxes here for those people who still want to use that method, that are just so used to that. But what you said exactly, that's all that's there. And what it does is it comes here and shows the results of your requests.
Sure.
And then you can drill down. Show me all the houses that are in Edu. It shows 42 results. And then you say, well, okay, show me all the properties that are under 300,000. It drills it down to 32. Show me all the properties that have granite in the kitchen. It drills it down and it keeps going. And then it says, okay, I have been pre-approved for $200,000. Can you show me all the houses that I can afford? That's when the cognitive thinking part kicks in.
So let me pause you.
Yes.
I think we're out of time.
Oh, no problem.
First off, let me just say that I love your passion. I want to just give 2 comments
Yes,
on
sir.
the presentation itself. I agree with Keith, it's a great presentation. I genuinely like the slides and such. But for this type of venue,
Yes.
maybe you've got some standard slides and you're just using them. I think there's a lot that you're rushing through, right? And so
I was thinking 3 minutes, yeah.
I understand that. So it might be better just in general. This is an educational forum as well. So it might be better just in general for you and others to sort of create a set of slides that are unique for this venue, for
Exactly.
this event, and then use those, because it was difficult. I mean, it's a great presentation, but it was difficult to follow through. Like I would have watched this presentation for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we only had 3.
I agree.
Plus the 20 minutes that we took. So the other piece of it is also you tend to pace, or at least you tended to pace here. I like to speak about about is what happened here.
Yes.
So you tend to pace. Unfortunately, in this room, because the projector is low, it's a little bit distracting.
Yes, yes.
Try to stay in one place. All those basic rules of presentation.
Yes.
I'm not trying to be harsh with you. Just
No.
trying to improve.
I appreciate
the
that.
presentation. That's all.
I'm a student. I appreciate that. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
Just a moment.
I'd actually like to burn another minute or so here. Is your deal with Watson exclusive?
No.
So someone else could use Watson for real estate?
They could probably use it and put a spin on it. They don't put exclusive deals together, but I have noticed that they haven't done any overlaps. I have noticed that. I've noticed.
But
that
there's nothing to prevent it.
there's nothing to prevent it.
So I think to add to this a little bit, especially the feedback Will just gave, I would focus heavily, since some of the core technology is not yours, some of the core data is not yours, it's CoreLogic's. I would focus heavily on the barriers you are going to put in place.
Yes.
Because as a technology person, I look at that going, you've got some good stuff, but all of your key IP is coming from third parties.
Yes.
Without exclusive deals. So I would try to address that point early on.
Gotcha. And good point. I know that.
All right. Next up, Carlos.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Harry. First of all, I want to apologize for my English, but I try to do the best. My name is Carlos. I'm a co-founder of Pilot Plus. Pilot Plus is a disruptive solution to the truck drivers shortage. We are going to improve the quality of life of the truck drivers. We are going to finish with the expenses, the millions in expenses of the trucking companies to recruit truck drivers, and we are going to improve 300% the productivity of the freight companies. Have you ever heard about this problem, the shortage? Well, it's a huge problem here in the US. Today there is a 48,000 shortage in truck drivers, and it's expected to be 174,000 by the 2024. And why is this happening? Because nobody wants to be a driver anymore. Truck drivers right now, the average age is 49. They are 70% of obese. 70% of them are obese, and with hypertension and the sugar and blood, diabetes problems, and they live literally in their trucks. They spend 15 days out of home, then go back to home for 2 days, and then go back to the road for another 15. So it's a very tough life. So, but most of them might say, why is this problem affect to me? So everything must be transported in a truck. Everything that surrounds us, the chair, the table, whatever, or the food, must be transported at any point of the time by a truck. And if there is no drivers, there will not merchandise in the stores. So Pilot Plus will develop a system. We are going to set up ground ports every 250 miles. That means 4 hours driving time on the road. So the driver will drive from point A to point B then switch the truck to another driver that comes in the opposite direction and come back 250 miles to home. So now the drivers will sleep every night at home, and they will have a regular job like everybody of 8 hours, and they will get a fixed paycheck for every week because they will drive every day the same miles. Right now, they don't know when the freight company is going to give them a load, and if they're going to drive just 1,000 miles or 200 miles, they don't know. Right now, the trucking companies are spending an average of $6 million per year just in recruiting truck drivers, in advertising, in the blood test and everything to recruit the drivers. And we are going to improve the productivity in 300% of the freight companies because right now, to drive from Laredo to Chicago in a truck, it takes 72 hours. With us, it will take only 24 hours. So the freight companies can use their truck fleet to increase 300% their sales, or they can lower their fleet to 30% and still billing the same. We are expecting to build the first year 8 millions and grow to 226 millions by the 5th year. And we are looking for an investment of 10 millions to make this reality. And for this, we are offering 30% of our company. So who wants to be part of the reinvention of the trucking industry and multiply your investment? That's it. Thank you very much.
Hi, Carlos. Where are you from?
I'm from Mexico, from Chihuahua.
Ah, if I went to Chihuahua and tried to present, I would do a much worse job of speaking English. So, couple comments. Good presentation. I like the concept. It's obviously going to be expensive to deploy.
Yeah.
You're looking for the money that you identified, $10 million, for the Laredo to Chicago route specifically, or?
No.
Okay.
We are going to open, this is the first route we are going to open, Laredo to Chicago.
Okay.
Then we open Miami to LA.
Okay.
Then Houston to Philadelphia.
Right.
And then the rest of the nation. We need 61 ground ports to cover the whole nation.
That'll put one every 250 miles.
Every 250 miles, yes.
Okay. All right. So let me just make a sort of a general kind of hodgepodge of comments here. First off, I loved how in your presentation what you did was focus on identifying the 3 facets of the value proposition first. You told us these are the things that are going to improve in the trucking industry. Okay. The one thing that I don't care for, quite honestly, this is just my personal taste, is that slogan. It seems very generic relative to the trucking industry. If anybody who's going to do anything in the trucking industry is going to think that they're reinventing the trucking industry. Okay. But I think that there's probably something else that you can do, because what you have here is pretty specific.
Yes.
And it has a clear value proposition. I don't know if that value proposition is sufficient for the industry or not, but you've identified a clear value proposition, that for your product and for the industry itself. So I think that you can probably tweak that. That's my opinion.
Okay.
But I'm not a branding expert. Maybe obviously.
Thank you for your information.
So the one thing is this. What you're focused on is a specific aspect of the quality of life for truckers. That is, they spend too much time away from home. That is essentially what it is. Is that correct?
Yes. And that's why nobody wants to be a driver anymore.
Okay. ask you this, and I'm not, I need to question these things because we're sitting up here. How do you know that that's true? Have you surveyed truckers? And more importantly, have you surveyed people who might have been truckers and aren't truckers? Because that's a difficult task, I think, to survey those kinds of people.
Okay. First of all, the main co-founder, my friend, he owns a logistics company for 25 years. And he's been dealing with this problem for many years. And he got the idea. He invites me to join for the project. And we started about 18 months ago, investigating about the market, talking to the freight companies, talking with the drivers. We have a history, a story of a driver, a women driver. So we explained her the project, and he started crying. She started crying because she said, if you were here 20 years ago, I don't have this weight. I will not have this weight, and I would not got 3 divorces in my life, and I didn't lose my children's life. So now she joined us for the recruiting team, and that's why we have all this information. We've been working for 18 years on all of this. 18 months, sorry.
So I appreciate the story.
Mhm.
My point, though, is that you've talked with people who are in logistics and trucking and who are truckers themselves. You've talked with all these people who are in the industry.
Yes.
But you're trying to solve a problem for the industry that relates to people who are not in the industry. Specific people who look at the trucking industry, consider being drivers, and then choose not to be. How do you know you're solving that problem? Because it doesn't sound like you've talked with those people.
Yes. Well, actually,
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just telling you that maybe the problem is very different in their minds. How they perceive the trucking industry may have nothing to do. All the people who became truckers, they might think to themselves, wow, these hours are long and this is really terrible. But that may not be the reason why people who consider being truckers, drivers, but choose not to be. That may not be why they choose not to be. Maybe there's another reason.
well, we talked with another people, their children's. Children's want to be a driver, but they don't do it because of the lifestyle. So if we offer them a regular job where they go out from home, work for 8 hours, and come back every night, it's going to be okay for them. And we are going to bring jobs to the rural areas because the ground ports will be in rural areas. And the other point is in the United States, 47% of the workforce are women. In the trucking industry, just 5%. So now we are talking with the Women in Truck Association, and they will help us, or we are going to help them to bring the job opportunity to the women.
Thank you. Well, I think it's an interesting take you're doing to improve the lifestyles. I've got a lot of questions on the business model. We don't have time today. But can you give us a sense of, are you hiring these truckers? Are you creating your own trucking logistics firm? That really doesn't come out in the presentation as to exactly what you're doing and how you're getting paid.
Yeah, okay. We are going to hire the drivers and offer the drivers to the freight companies. So the freight company will bring their truck to our ground port. Our driver will take the truck and run.
Okay. And then have you created a system or some IP around the scheduling and everything around this fairly complex process of the handoffs?
Yes, we already have an app. It's on beta, but it's working right now. and we have a platform, a software, a website platform, where the customers will set up all the loads they have in a schedule, weekly or monthly, and the truck driver will have the app on their smartphone. So they will choose when they want to drive and at what time. And this app will have the algorithm to manage all the logistics.
Hi, that was great. You know, for me, my colleagues and I were looking at each other and just smiling really big because this is something that's very close and dear to our hearts. Over the last 4 years, we've perfected in our or in our industry how to reach 99.9% of the country using trucks and freight carriers with perishable food, right, in under 2 days. So out of 3 distribution centers. So this is very, very relevant to us. And one thing, I'd love to chat with you afterwards as well, but you know, a couple things that, you know, for me, like looking at this, thinking about it from a client perspective, right? A couple things that I would ask you to like consider is the risk. So every time we work in our logistics team and the route that we've developed, every time there's a re-injection, that actually adds risk and it also adds time. So the transition every 4 hours when you're going coast to coast or from north to south, so like from New Jersey Fulfillment Center all the way down to the Florida Keys, to me that would be about like possibly up to 6 different injections. And also when you consider weather, that adds a ton of risk to me as a client. And so I'm sure you've thought about it already, but I would, if you're presenting to a, you know, in your presentation, if you could maybe even focus on a little bit more of that risk mitigation and how you guys have thought about that and the time that it actually adds. Because in that one slide when you said that you would take a 3-day route and turn it into 1, I've seen us try in different ways to do that as well, and I would challenge that that's very, very, very difficult. And so I think risk is one. And then another thing is, have you considered a seasonal pitch? Because
Seasonal pitch?
So I'll take, for example, just this past December, because of the shortage, as well as the unexpected surge in e-commerce, FedEx, and this is national news, underestimated the amount of shipments that would happen in the Christmas season. And unfortunately, thousands and thousands of customers suffered from that. And so I could see this and that kind of burnout of drivers, especially during like high volume season, when the number of packages
drive all the way across country.
Mhm.
The short haul's the guy that makes it to my shop and backs up to my dock, which was two parked cars,
Yes.
which the long haul driver can't do at all. They've never succeeded. We watch this every day, right? Trying to figure this thing out. People cutting holes in fences to try to get this guy out of this stuff to back in. And that's my question. How, one thing that's an answer for me, how do you manage that disparity of skill with different drivers? Right? I work with particular freight companies because I know the drivers, and we have agreements that have successfully, A, gotten difficult shipments to me, or B, they're able and have the crew that can handle the sort of unloading situation we have. So my thought is, I would like to see in the presentation some accounting for that to show that you're aware of that issue. Because as a potential customer, right, would I want to buy from this? I want to invest in it also as a customer first and say, would I buy from this? And if I wouldn't buy from it, I would invest in this.
Okay. Okay. We are focusing on the long haul drivers. That's our main business. But we are going to have short distance drivers. They're going to be different with different skills and everything. So when you bring when the long haul driver bring the truck to the ground port, the last ground port, the short distance driver will take it to the customer, the final destination.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
graphic?
Yes.
Little out.
Okay. Right. Thank you very much. I have here with me the business plan, so if somebody wants to take the presentation and more deep marketing information, I have here.
How's everyone doing? All right. So hi everybody, my name is Ali Raza and I'm the founder of BrickBasket, and we're trying to make the energy operations smarter in the oil and gas industry. So at BrickBasket every day we ask the question, how can we reduce downtime in our industry? This is a very personal problem to me. After I graduated from Penn, I went to work for Schlumberger for 4 years. And no matter where I was, whether it was Pakistan, Yemen, UAE, USA, there was a redundancy that we were always down for parts. And then I thought that, maybe I should look into this more because this is such a recurring problem all over the world. So we delved into this and I decided to figure out who the key stakeholders were. Well, we determined that there were three parties. There were the guys in the field doing the operations, and then there were the guys at the warehouse or the office supporting those operations. And then lastly, there were the external suppliers that were responsible for replenishing their stock. Now you'd think that after so many operations, everyone would be in sync by now, but the reality of the case is the furthest thing from the truth. This is the current state of oilfield asset management. Currently, not only does the warehouse not know what the field has, operations within the field don't know what they have. Right? And everything is still done on Excel and paper, right? So imagine what happens when a part goes down and your warehouse doesn't have it and you start screaming at your suppliers saying, hey, get us this, right? So the current solution, like I said, is that there's a lot of yelling and trying to figure out who is responsible. And once we get, go beyond that, we start yelling at the suppliers to rush delivery it, right? Then we spend that much money. Yes, sometimes it costs like $200,000, right? And then the well is back online, right? $100 per barrel oil, okay, we can afford that. $30 per barrel oil, it affects your cost lines. And I've been on the side where I have to lay off people. So but even with the crisis, oil is a big market. It's a $1 trillion industry still on an annual basis. So we asked ourselves, how can we decrease downtime even by 1%? And we're still trying to figure out how much that means in money. So we said, all right, there's solutions out there with SaaS, right? Why don't we start moving away from paper and Excel and start creating simple inventory management systems that link the warehouse and the field to better understand our inventory already demand. Right? So we can give our existing suppliers automated alerts so they stand a better chance of delivery. And why don't we create an open market concept as well, where we can offload some of the stuff we don't need, or if we can't source something from our ecosystem, we can get it. So we've been working on some of these prototypes. So this is one of the demos we made for a hot shot. So say if I had my fluid end go down or something, I could go and use this plugin and say, hey, I need a fluid end replacement, and anyone in the vicinity could just ping me back and say, you know what, I have it, and it's going to cost you $6,000, and you can negotiate and transact via PayPal. Now, this was the first solution that we did solve, but then when we went to our clients, they said there's other problems to solve. So now we're in this consulting and enterprise solutions building space where we've identified that SaaS is a bigger market, so we're going after that. So the first 2 to 3 years of operations, we expect to be mostly doing consulting and developing enterprise solutions to the point where we can get into big data and machine learning, where some of our founders have backgrounds in. On top of that, when we can move to the Middle East, where half our team is already based in places like Iran, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and UAE, we really think that we can start generating about $50 million on an annual basis. So why us? Well, first of all, we've been in the field, and we've faced these problems. That's me breaking a hammer that happened in Russia. We've made and saved millions for our oil companies that we work with and our employers. And lastly, we understand programming. We have done work in machine learning and data analytics. And what do we mean by we? Well, I work with an extraordinary team of individuals, and Theo is here with us today, that have started data analytics companies, have graduate degrees in robotics from some of the top schools in the world, such as MIT and Columbia. Added to that, we're oil people. We work for Shell, we work for Saudi Aramco, we work for Schlumberger, and we work for some of the top oil and gas consulting practices, such as McKinsey and A.T. Kearney. But we know we can't do it alone, and we're here today to get your support. And we believe in revolutionizing energy together. So today we want to meet oil and gas people, as well as look for customers who want to test our prototypes that we've built for database management. And lastly, we're looking for advisors. So I'm going to end on that, and I'd like to just ask you guys to help us reduce some of the downtime in the industry. Thank you, and I'm gonna be like last time.
Yeah, actually, I've seen Ali's presentation before. Very good job. So, I think it went very well. You described the problem and how you're going to attack it. And we've talked about this in the past. Can you talk a little bit more about how you get started? Because Chris earlier talked about network effects. I always call it a chicken and egg problem.
Right.
How do you have enough customers and suppliers to the point where it makes sense to be able to do this?
Right. So currently we're piggybacking off of another company that is funded by another Houston base, and they're trying to solve the IoT cloud problem for security. So we're going to get introductions through them to like senior CIOs and presidents. So next week I'm going to be meeting with the president of Weatherford, and we're basically going to start looking at their SAP, their Oracle systems, and see whether we can create a plugin for it, like something that Sunrun did out in California for the solar industry, or whether we're going to create independent solutions. And as of right now, they're just Microsoft Access databases where we've imposed a GUI interface. It looks kind of like what Apple does with Unix, creating that user experience that is simple for the field. There's a lot of people in the oil industry. I know America is a little bit more tech savvy, but internationally it has to be very simple. It has to be very visual.
You should add that, just a short part of that into your presentation up front.
Okay.
To be honest, to me personally, I thought it was well laid out, and I thought your imagery really worked with what you were saying. But when I take a step back, I personally, it wasn't clear to me what the exact solution or product it is that you are presenting is holistically. I felt like it was a little bit fragmented, and then the value proposition was also fragmented. It wasn't really clear to me what exactly you were trying to drive. Like that timeline was a little bit confusing for me. And then you also made a comment that you were going after what I understood to be like a tech solution that was improving issue identification and resolution, but then your company switched gears into a consulting role. So again, this is not my industry at all. So I don't know if that's common or it's based on the need that was driving, I guess. But I think if you're pressing a little bit clearer on that upfront, I think that would work.
Okay, certainly. So what happened is I moved down to Pennsylvania about 2 months back, so I'm still learning everything about Houston, right? And like you said, that we thought we were solving a problem, but then with network effects, it didn't work out. Right? So then we looked at and started, just going out and asking people their problems, right? And then we found that, oh my God, it's SaaS that everyone wants right now, from what we're seeing. Okay? The value proposition where data analytics and machine learning goes into this is that we don't benchmark properly. When I was geo-market manager out in Pakistan and Yemen, we had no system to predict our inventories, right? So it wasn't even like, here, 30%. So like, I think the first year for equipment, for the first quarter, it was like a negative 40% variance. So I missed my budget by so much. So that's where we think that 3 years from now, when we can start collecting historical data, we can say, all right, with our Bayesian equations and like all the statistics, we can say that, hey, this is how much you should be ordering, right? This is what your system should be taking. Why are you oversupplied for that? So that's where machine learning and data analytics comes into. Again, we're still doing everything still on paper and pencil and Excel, so that's way into the future, right? So it's almost like you have to tackle the culture. But here, the way you get into SAP systems, you got to do favors for people. So that's what we're doing right now. We're just maneuvering our way into these SAP and Oracle systems. So once we can start putting in our plugins, we can go back to something greater, which is the open market concept. Does that answer your question? We're scrappy, really scrappy.
Can you take us back to that timeline slide?
Which one?
The timeline
The timeline, all right.
between you and me. This is really confusing. And I think this drives so much of that modeling about what you're doing. Because we've got places in the world. We've got data analytics, we've got other products, we've got autonomous robotics, which didn't form the point of the story at all here, right? And 3D printing, machine learning. I'm really confused by this slide. I don't know if you're talking about you're doing consulting of these things, products that have features to develop.
So this is basically, so I work with a big team, right? So let me see. So this was basically our product line that we were thinking of getting into, right? 3D printing was going to tie into parts on demand. That's what we were thinking of doing, right? Just for basic stuff, because oftentimes, like clients, like let's say Chevron, right? They'll be like, we'll be offshore. Like I worked offshore, and because the windsock's not up there, they'll be like, okay, chopper in a windsock. Otherwise, we're not going to start the operation. So the idea is that this is a little bit out there. I completely agree with you, but I think we were trying to show how we can scale this from the slide.
Well, the problem is that it doesn't actually tell me that, because to get to 3D printing autonomous robotics, you have to have all these other things.
Right.
Assuming that 3D printing parts is going to be multi-million, but I don't know how you can do research on 3D printing parts for oil fuel and also work for SAP. My key takeaway of key feedback here is just give me a vision slide instead.
Okay.
Tell me what your product is going to do and where it's and where you're in with this. I think that would be far less confusing here. It wouldn't make me think what autonomous robotics has to do with anything, because you can lay it out. Hey, we are going to be parts bin from the oil field world, and for any time we can't get you the part in the future, we're going to actually build the part on demand. And if there's no delivery, we'll give you a way of delivering that. That's a way better presentation.
Yeah, I agree.
Way better explanation. It shows a little vision.
Okay, I'll fix that. Thank you.
So, no change.
All right, we'll go back.
So, piggybacking off of what Chris said, to some degree, even though he disagreed with me last time, how are you going to get customers? So actually, go to the next slide, please. Actually, go to the next slide. Keep going. There. No, go back.
I don't know.
Okay. I don't see anything on there that says we have the experience to sell enterprise SaaS to Global.
Right. So.
So that's fine.
Right.
You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
How are you going to sell enterprise SaaS to Global?
Okay, so like I said, there is the other company that we're working with that we have a partnership. They do have backgrounds in Oracle and SAP. I do have advisors right, that have worked at Microsoft, EMC, and Oracle for like 25, 30 years. So they do have the background, so we consult with them a lot, but we still do our own work.
So partners and advisors are awesome. I'm
Right.
an advisor to a lot of companies, and I'm awesome.
Right.
Right. But the thing is that your team has to do this.
Right, so
Your team has to be able to do it. How are you going to learn to do that?
So, like I know JavaScript, right? Kizer knows robotics, and he knows about. We're all engineers, right? So we know different programming languages, right? So not all of this is outsourced, right? So we are learning, right? These new languages that we're gonna need.
So
But
you know JavaScript.
I know MATLAB and
Are you going to write a
JavaScript.
program that sells your software?
I'm not gonna do that. But my
Otherwise, you're
CTO
not answering my question.
Yeah,
I
so
don't
my-
know how
my
you're going to
CTO
sell your software.
So my CTO and the guy in Qatar, they've done data analytics, so they know how to write software, right? They review the software that comes in. We do outsource some of these things, right? But that's the technical guys. I focus on operations, right? We build the processes that we have knowledge of because we've been on the boats, we've been out in the field, and based off the inefficiencies that we saw, that's what I translate to our programmers, to our technical guys, right? And so what we're selling here is not the SaaS solution. We're selling the industry knowledge grouped with the processes, grouped with the software. That's what makes us unique.
Okay. But none of that tells me how you're going to sell the software. That tells me how you're going to build the software that might be able to be sold.
Right. So I agree with you there. We're trying to still sell. That's why I said we need to find people who can test these prototypes, and that's what we're doing.
That's a really big question that I just asked.
Right.
So I'm not expecting a small answer to that.
Right.
But let me just offer this one piece of advice that might help them get you started. And it has not really has little to do with sales, but it can maybe help to get some acquisition. This is very abstract, but I'll make it as concise as possible. In the context of just general software, but specifically enterprise software, there are sort of 3 tiers of what a software can look like. The first tier is a platform where things can be built atop. The things that are built atop are called applications. And then on top of applications can be called features, right? The software like features and this. What I see is an application being built. What I recommend that you do is consider building a feature. Because a feature is something that guy on the left over there, which is you,
Right.
or your counterpart or whatever out in the field, has a little tablet. And they're running applications on the tablet, including procurement software. So if you can build a feature that's a simple button or something like this, that can go on there, that can allow them to access your application and has all the modalities of that application, but it's not an entirely different application, and certainly not an entirely different platform that they have to use. That, in my opinion, and Keith has a lot of experience with this too, but in my opinion, that might help you that might help them be one step toward getting better adoption within an industry that the reason why they're not doing this already is because they're loath and slow to adopt this kind of technology.
Okay. So work on the feature.
That's my opinion, is build a feature first. You can expand that to an application later on. But build a feature that sits atop an existing field application. That will help your company kind of get some start. It's not automatic. It's not like you do that and then they'll come.
Right.
Right? But if you can do something like that, I think that you'll have a better chance of getting some adoption within the industry.
Thank you.
If you define a very specific problem, this feature is much
Thank you.
All right, last but not least.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully everybody has enjoyed the Bud Light and you're a little bit buzzed right now, so this will just fly right by. But first, I want to thank Start for inviting me to here. I'm actually a client of the Houston Technology Center. I guess in their partnership with Start, they invited me to pitch here. My name is Stephen Blake. I am the CEO and founder of RigChat. I have 20 years experience in the oil and gas industry. I've had the privilege of working in many different roles, from sales to working out in the field to working mergers and acquisitions and understanding different perspectives of the industry. I've worked with both service providers and operators, so I've seen both sides of the coin. And along my journey, I've seen many opportunities and many challenges that have come about that we progressed into our company, RigChat, that I'm going to discuss today. So let's start with the problem. Right now, in internal projects where companies are trying to clean up the data, they spend 80% of the time on in those internal projects cleaning up data. They're striving to take that data and use it for understanding day-to-day operations. They want to catalog products so they can be able to understand them, what they do, educate the newcomers into the oil and gas industry, but also allow the guys out in the field and the guys in the office a simple page of understanding what exactly they're renting, where exactly is all the money being invested in. Overall, RigChat catalogs products and allows companies to collaborate securely in our platform. What we do is we bring an online catalog that creates a standard format for products to be displayed. Right now, companies, service providers spend hundreds of thousands of dollars annually on motor handbooks, on different marketing material trying to get to the consumer. We allow them to put all those products. So the value for the end user, the operator, they're able to go to one place instead of 20 different sites, or hoping that they have the motor handbook that's current for that year. Secure collaboration. Above everything, security is really big in the energy industry, specifically the oil and gas industry. And they want to ensure that they keep their secrets near and dear to their heart. So what we provide is a collaboration platform that they can come in and they can collaborate with internally in their company. They can collaborate with any companies they do a joint venture with, service providers, and they use this to develop best practices, lessons learned. So when a service provider develops that lesson learned, whether it's looking at motor vibration or it's looking at the ability to just increase the efficiency or the overall efficiency of the well, what they do is they can share that lesson specifically with their next client. So they don't have to reinvent the wheel that they just spent time inventing with another client. Performance information. Right now, a lot of the performance information is one-sided because the service providers have great systems that allow them to understand the performance of their tools, but the operators, they don't have access to that same performance data. So much like you saw in the earlier presentations, you get the pointing of the finger. One comes to the table with their performance data and their KPIs. The other, the service provider, comes to the table with their data and their KPIs. And the finger pointing begins. So the collaboration with the access of performance information and the access of the tools that are actually doing the job allows them to better understand what they're doing, their day-to-day operations, and it gives them the security to collaborate amongst themselves and with the companies or individuals that they need within that collaboration platform. So the way we actually bring this out to everybody is we offer memberships. The memberships are based upon company size, based upon the average employee amount with the company. And we do that so that we can allow an equal base for both smaller companies and larger companies to participate. We break it up between collaboration and product listing. So if a service provider just wants to list their products, then we charge them per product line to be able to list their products. We charge them based upon 10 product lines, and then they're charged additional more after that. Individuals, eventually we'll get to a point to where individuals can come in and create a membership. We honestly have not gotten to the point to where there's a value proposition for an individual to come in. So right now we allow people to log in for free, so that way they can access a limited amount of the information to get kind of a teaser to understand what exactly we do offer. Our current traction and prospects, we are currently working with the International Association of Directional Drilling. They came to us and actually asked us to help them develop an understanding of the mud motor problem that's currently happening on U.S. land. We're listing products from companies such as NOV, Schlumberger, Weatherford, Cougar Drilling, And we're helping smaller companies who have not had the ability to get their technology out and available or even seen to operators, bigger operators. We're giving them the ability to get that out there. In our corporate memberships or the collaboration memberships, we estimate that there are roughly 10,000 companies in the US, 18,000 globally. We are looking at about 20,000 plus product lines that are out there between all the service providers that exist globally. What we're looking for is we're currently now focusing directly on the energy industry, directional drilling. We're basically boiling a pot rather than the ocean. And we're going to perfect the system within the directional drilling side. Then as we get that recipe correct, we're going to bring in other aspects of the drilling program and then the energy industry as a whole. So for example, as we move forward, I have a partner that's coming in who works on the completion side. And the completion side, we'll be able to bring in the products and services that they offer on that side as well. But then we've also had a lot of requests from refineries, because a lot of the times the guys that work out in the refineries, they're the ones actually using the products, but the supply chain guys aren't fully educated to understand what exactly they need out there in the field. With our system, we give them that ability to, one, understand what products they're asking for, what products they're negotiating on, what products they're saying to the field, you need to use these vendors, because these are the approved vendors that we have negotiated contracts with. As we go, we're looking for a $750,000 investment. What this will do is it will help us from a marketing standpoint so we can grow and expand on the projects that we currently have. We also are looking to bring on people to better service our customers, to reach the broadband that we're bringing on with the amount of product lines that we're bringing into the system. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Hi, thanks so much. So I had a couple questions, but you mentioned that you're seeking that investment specifically for marketing and insurance and so on. So is this software and is this platform already built?
Yes, we are at a commercial state. We do have customers that are putting products online. We have the International Association of Directional Drilling that's using the collaboration platform. We're also in talks with other operators that are basically putting the system in place for one product, one project, and then we're demonstrating the value through we give them a 60-day free trial so that we push directly on that one product so they see the value, and then we follow up with them after that 60-day trial to implement to other projects and other products.
So in some of those trials, as well as the results that you've seen with the clients that you've been working with, what kind of results and cost savings and efficiencies have you been able to gain through this?
We went commercial June of last year, and to be honest with you, at the start, the traction was a little difficult because people, we would go, I believe it was mentioned earlier, kind of the chicken and the egg. You go to an operator and they say, well, we'll get on when you have all the service providers on. You go to a service provider, well, we'll get on when you have a bunch of big operators on that shows the value. So we really had to get into a project with one of the industry organizations to allow us to, one, have a little bit backing for our brand because it was brand new. So we gained that trust by them backing us, and then that allowed us to bring in some of the service providers. So once we grabbed NOV, it kind of falls like a domino is the other ones that we talked to, the Schlumbergers, the Bakers, the Weatherfords, and the other bigger names in there, they see it now more clearly because the NOVs are in there. So to get it to that commercial aspect, we haven't completely finished a project to say we've gained this, we've saved this much money or anything like that. But what we have seen is that operators and service providers now have the ability to talk amongst themselves in a private area. And what that does is it breaks up the ability of when a sales guy or an engineer from a service provider goes into an operator, they're not always meeting with the decision maker. They're not always seeing the right person at the right time. So this gives them the ability to have that discussion when they need it at the right time.
Especially because you have a solution that's already in production. I think it would be really compelling to be able to see, even based on a set of assumptions, what kind of cost savings and efficiency that you would be able to, you're assuming that the future then to justify that investment that is.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I'm gonna say I really like the flow of cover all the keys. Don't spend a lot of time. Anyone have any question? We have some data. I would potentially seek out a graphic designer because you have such a good layout that we can get all the content. It's all over. So just it's worth the money to spend a few dollars. It's worth every penny.
Right.
Make that as good looking as possible,
Okay.
especially when you have flow and information. So follow up Michelle's point. I would say product. You know, if it's out there, it's working. So you know, show me some screenshots. Show me some roads. I didn't really know it was out there actually working. Right. She deduced it from the fact that you were based on software. So we had to get that.
Right.
Moreover, if the product's been out there since June, I do expect to see that organization. It doesn't have to be all like say anything like that. I want to see if any from the users. I want to see the growth in users. I want to see the growth in signers. Those things. It's all in 90%.
Sure.
By not presenting any of them. Three more questions than answers.
Good feedback. Thank you.
Yeah, I thought the pitch was pretty good. I agree with the other points. So I'm an investor. And if I see something actually out there working, I want to know now some dollar figures. Sort of showing up your memberships, I'd kind of like to know what your run rate right now, a little bit more information, particularly since you're going on an investment. You want to show how it ramps over time, even though it's a tough start.
Sure.
So a lot of deals I've ran where there's this network effect, we all know it's a hard start. So talk about what you did to get going. It doesn't matter the positions. Explain, okay, we ran into this wall, we did these things to get around in front of those first couple of customers. You mentioned how now you've got some of the big guys start to look at it because you have people like platform.
Right.
So I pushed that. I didn't see much potential market size. A lot of times I like to see, here's the huge market. There's lots of different companies trying to address this, but this is our niche right here. This is what we're going after. I got the impression earlier that you're kind of, it's a sort of shotgun approach here, going after a lot of different things. Are there specific product lines or types that you can become industry leader on because of your background, because maybe it's the customers that you have. I would push that, explain how this is successful, and then how you're going to leverage that to much larger scale.
Right. Great feedback. And I would say to that, what we've seen, or what I didn't or failed to present in there is we have grown in our user base, more on the free side than the actual customers and clients. Until December of last year, when we started getting people to come on, smaller mom and pop type companies that are looking for advertisement opportunities. But then as we got into the associations and we started getting their backing, then they were pushing us to some of the bigger names. And that's where we got the actual traction of those bigger companies and where we were able to get in with those guys.
Yeah, I worked that into the pitch. So,
Okay.
I mean, this is really short, so it's hard to do. I think that's
I gotta be honest, I was confused.
Okay.
At the beginning of the presentation, and maybe a little bit confused now. And I'm not even drinking any beer. So
Okay.
maybe I should be, because they had some really coherent questions, Chris always has. But I think I understand now at the end, especially on What I don't understand is how this actually solves the problem. You've identified a problem of, I mean, you had a slide, you can go back to like, bad data and all these sort of things.
Right.
Those things come about as a consequence of people talking.
Correct.
And you've got a platform where people are talking. So I don't understand how you're actually solving this problem. You don't have to go into the details now.
Sure.
For me, it may not be for everybody else in this room, but for me, first off, like I said, going to the next slide, we talked about what the product was. I didn't understand the product was, so therefore I didn't understand how it connected to the problem. But I still, to now, do not understand how it connects to the problem, how it actually solves it.
Okay.
So I will tell you that I think Chris's point is right on. If you had some visuals or something like this, that would help to magnify or to illustrate.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't have a whole lot of feedback. The only one, this is a very minor part. Maybe go to the pricing slide. That one, the product membership there. I
Yes.
don't understand what time frame that is. Is that $1,500 per month? It's obviously for
It is per month, and that was a typo.
Just correct that, just because the other ones are per month. It's implied, I think, but it's
Right.
It should be specific.
It's $1,500 per each product line up to 10, but it's only $500 for each additional 10. So I'm confused in that price.
So why the
Why there's
lesser
such
after?
a huge drop in price per unit? Yeah, I'm looking at here. You're looking at $15,000 for the first 10 and $500 for the second.
1,500. Yeah.
This is per product.
Yeah, 1,500 per product line, and then 500 each additional product line needs to be added. But
You see what I'm reading here?
right.
I pay $1,500 per product for the first 10 products, up to 10. 15,000, and then this.
Yeah. Just to clarify, that next 10 is 500.
Correct. Correct. Each additional product line to each additional 10. And what we're doing there is because in each product line in the oil and gas industry, you may have hundreds of types of motors, bits, MWDs. And so from an advertisement perspective, in order to incentivize putting the rest of the product line on there, then we're trying to do it that way. That was the intent of this.
I think there needs to be clarification here. We're trying to help you, so.
Right.
So, just to be clear, it's $15,000 for 10 product lines first, right? The first 10 product lines. And then that additional $500, is that
It's
for a block of 10 or for
Each additional product line.
Each
additional
that
product
needs to be
line.
clarified. That
Correct.
implies that it's for the next block of 10.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. That's what it is. Oh, that's a fair point. Yeah.
Most, and the reason why we did it, most companies don't have more than 20 product lines within one division. So it would even out based upon the amount of product lines that they actually have on a company basis.
I would just, well, you might want to change this entirely, but I would just say $500 each additional product line.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because ultimately you're going to contract with some sort of, have some
Correct.
agreement.
It's a reoccurring membership.
Sure, so, there's going to be some legal questions around what constitutes a agreement.
Right.
And Stephen, this is for you and also the other presenters that presented earlier. But one thing that I thought was, I was hoping to see in all of the pitches was a little bit more of a one snapshot of a competitive analysis and a call out of what the differentiation is of what your product is compared to who is pitching other similar things, if not holistically, then in part, right, to what you are presenting today. And then secondly, kind of both touch on that a little bit more, but I think in pitching a new idea, what is really important is that market size. What is the market size? What are you going after, and how much of it do you think that your product is going to be able to target and reap? So share of again, based on a set of assumptions, so that we can understand, is this like a one-time deal, or what's the path, or growth projection that you're projecting for your product after launch? Thanks.
Fair enough. And I would say, and I can't speak for all the presenters, but in my presentation, in my normal pitch presentations, there are a lot more slides than this. They're a lot more graphically designed. But because of the 3-minute time limit, the slideshow gets cut down dramatically.
Some level we will do.
Yeah. So, I'm not the best at cutting down to a quarter. So that was the limitation.
I heard this quote from someone yesterday, and it's a Mark Twain quote, and it might as well be because Mark Twain is sort of but it says something like, I didn't have time to write a short letter, so I wrote a long letter. Right? That's how pitches work.
Right.
It's difficult to take a large amount of information. I'm very passionate about thinking about the ones
Absolutely.
and condense it down to a very short information. That's the one.
Yeah, I agree. And I would say that's the biggest lesson learning right now for me, rather than learning.
But great pace.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wait, thank you.
All right, thank you guys for another awesome demo day. Real quick round of applause to our amazing mentors. Thank you, Blue Apron. We hope to see you guys here permanently soon. And obviously our startups, thank you guys. Congratulations for a great pitch. So you guys got about an hour, hang out, network, a little bit of beer left. Feel free to knock it out. Don't drive drunk. And we'll see you guys next month. Thanks.